Well, hey there students, it's Mr. Verzat. Today we're going to look at how to draw creatures in 3D. This is kind of a continuation off of the constructive drawing lesson that I have in my class. You want to have a good grasp on two-point perspective and the 3 levels of form building for the constructive drawing process before moving on to drawing creatures in 3D. By this point we've learned how to build these type of creatures, so we can see we've got a body here, a chest, which is just a sphere attached to a cylinder. We've got 4 legs, kind of a cone or cylinder structure here on the head that's on a sphere, and then an S-curved kind of a cylinder for the neck. And this is just the basis to help us get to the actual drawing. With this in place, we then are able to go and detail from there to make our creature look all fun and cool without having to worry about the perspective because we've already drawn it at this point. What is a grid and how does it work? So we start with a horizon line, and our horizon is a little high, and that means that this area down here is where most of our creature is going to occupy. I want it to face us and face to the left. So what I've done is I put a vanishing point way off the page, way over here, so that we get these very broad fanning lines out. Remember, when you pull a vanishing point way off the page, it makes your perspective a little bit more flat. Then I want kind of a ground line. So I go to the other vanishing point and I just draw one line that represents where the ground is. And let's just kind of sketch a stick figure in here really quick. This would just be where your feet are. And then you probably have your knees and your thighs, and you got your pelvis, and then your belly, and then your upper rib cage. Then we've got your head and neck, shoulders. And if we follow these fanning lines this way, that helps us know where our other shoulder is going to be. We've got an arm with an elbow, and if we follow these fanning lines, that helps us know where our other elbow is going to be. And then we've got our hand, and if we follow these fanning lines, we've got our hand, and so on. And you see, now we've got this figure that looks like he sits in 3D space. So using a human stick figure, let's say here's the ground. Here is our balance line. So we're starting here, and let's do a head, and he is above us. Here's center, and because he's above us, this line of sight, it's going to curve upward like that, wraps around upward, and he's looking to the left. Neck, here is his shoulder, torso, other shoulder is kind of hidden from us on this side, belly, pelvis. See, it's following the vanishing point. Hip to knee, draw through to the other side. We're going to put his feet on this line. So here's his leg, here's his foot. Go to vanishing point for his foot. Here's his other foot. Elbow, draw through, elbow, to hand, draw through, hand. And we've got a nice little human figure here, like a skeleton. And we can flesh him out, get some cylinder cone type shapes for the body. And so you don't need a reference for this once you've learned the different forms and how the body works, because they're just shapes in 3D space. And we know how perspective works. And let's say his limb's going to be out like this. That'll just be a cylinder going to the left vanishing point. See? Just like that. If it's coming towards us, like right in front of him at a 90-degree angle from the vanishing point, then his arm, if it was extended, would be a cylinder like this, and his forearm, and his hand, see? And it would start to obscure this area of this person's face. And then we could get a little more complicated where it's at an angle that's off-center from the rest of the vanishing points and how that impacts. But that just comes with practice. But you see, if they're just basic shapes, you can assemble anything, you guys, anything at all. There's no limitations. This is that drawing skill that really helps you be able to do anything. And you know, we could turn this into like a cyborg or a mutant arm or something crazy. Now here's another grid. Let's zoom out a little bit. With this one, I still have the vanishing point that goes to the right about here, but I brought the vanishing point that goes to the left inward a little bit. See how it's made a lot more kind of extreme angles here? As a beginner, what I'd recommend is not to have both VPs on your page, have them off the page, and that makes things look a little more natural. Let's see what happens if we draw a creature, and we'll speed it up a little bit so that you don't have to sit through this whole process. So you see that at this angle, we've got a little bit more extreme perspective. This leg looks a lot higher than this one, and this leg is a lot higher than this one. It gets a lot more dramatic, kind of like you're looking through a fisheye lens. So if that's what you're after, that would be a good fit for you. As beginners, it can be kind of hard until you get a real good feel for how the perspective feels on the figure, because you might be like, well, man, this arm feels so small, and this one feels so big. That's why I recommend that you have your VPs very spaced out when you first start. Now with this grid, what I did is I lowered the horizon line so it's more in the center. So we're going to have parts of the animal above and parts of the animal below. I've still got a ground line here as well. Now another difference is I've indented one of the vanishing points here. And watch what this does. It's creating this really extreme tunnel-like effect with the perspective. It's like something is coming towards you, right? Like you're looking down a hallway. That's what happens when you indent a vanishing point. You get like a real tunnel effect. And so this is going to create a creature where it's above us, below, and really coming towards us. So I'm starting with a sphere, line up to your vanishing point, and then line up to your vanishing point, and see? So now we've got a cylinder that lines up in perspective, and we could cut this up and do some fun things to it. But let's keep drawing. Horizon, and a lot of area to show this creature above us. And notice we've got everything's kind of flat and compressed down here. And I even moved the vanishing point in a little further, so we're even looking down this tunnel effect even more extreme. Go to VP, go to VP. And let's give it a chest, make a sphere that's elongated, kind of coming out. And we're going to put kind of a shoulder line area here, and then pelvis here. See how I'm still going to vanishing point? Let's bring one leg down, and then another one, and then one leg down, and then another one. One leg down, here's the knee. Then it's going to have its foot. Back here, we're going to use this line. All right, so draw through, kind of slanting these lines a little. Kind of like his arms aren't straight up and down, they're kind of more widened out. All right, and let's do a head, go to vanishing point, cylinder. And then we can flesh these out with more cylinder shapes. And you can see it really starting to take shape. I really like kind of a low camera level because it really makes this creature look bigger and more imposing. Let's do a new creature, maybe kind of one that's like an armadillo or something. So I'm just going to draw from the side a little bit, and let's build an armadillo structure. So they've got a cute little head down here. Here's their little pelvis. Here's the body. Maybe we'll have a nubby little limb here. Here's the shoulder. Here's the back leg, and pointy little nose, and an ear, and a tail. Move this guy as our reference out of the way. Big sphere right in front of us. And then going to vanishing point, we're going to have a little kind of a medium-sized sphere right behind him. He's got a cone-like neck that comes down at an angle. So let's pitch our tent down at an angle and build a cone. And he's got a sphere for a head. And he's got a cone for a schnoz. So pitch our tent and build that little cone. His shoulders are right on the outside. So bring a leg down. And then there's his elbow, and here's his foot. Here's his other foot. Here's one little thigh, and there's his knee. And then there's his other foot. Draw through for his waist. Do it again. Here's his other foot. And then we use these basic shapes now to sculpt the armadillo. So he's going to be pretty. So I'm going to turn this opacity down a little bit. And let's start drawing this weird armadillo looking shape, or at least something that's inspired by an armadillo. So he's going to have cute little cone ears, little snout. Going to see some of his neck. Body is actually going to go up and over and then down. Give him some form lines here. Sculpt the shapes to make him cute and round. That's kind of creepy because it looks like a human arm, but hey, that's okay, as long as we get the idea. I think armadillos have way shorter limbs, so this is an example of how you study creatures to kind of get an understanding. We're not going to see his other limb back here. It's going to be out of sight. You see, that's how you would plot it in perspective that way, using these grid lines to find the shoulder, the feet, and such. Let's do an armadillo shape, that exact same form here. So again, we had using this type of grid where we've got a low horizon and our vanishing points really spaced out. So here is how high he's going to be off the ground. Kind of a middle-sized shape. Remember, I'm going to vanishing point when I'm extracting this cone. There's his head. There's his cone. Nubby little limb coming out over here. Nubby little limb right here. Knee to body. And we start to sculpt from there. So you see, when you have vanishing points really spaced out, it's almost like he's not coming at you as much, and he's facing a little bit more to the side. This is why it's an easier form breakdown for beginners. All right, you guys, so that's been a little demo on how do you use a perspective grid to draw things in 3D. I look forward to seeing you guys in class. Have a great day. Bye-bye.